Hi, in today's video I'm going to be covering how to download videos using Emacs, EWW, task-spooler, yt-dlp and aria2c. So what I've got open here is the Internet Archive with some public domain cartoons, and if you scroll down here you'll see there's a show all link, and what this does is actually list all of the videos that we can actually download. So you can see there's MP4, OGG, GIFs, that sort of thing. So what I've done is switched across to EWW with the same page open. And what I'm going to do is, in previous video I showed you how we could play these videos using MPV or send the audio to MPD. What I'm going to do now is actually show you how we can download these videos using task-spooler, which is a command line application that allows you to queue up commands to be executed sequentially one after another. And what we're going to do is actually use task-spooler to create a playlist, as it were, of videos that will be downloaded with yt-dlp using aria2c as the downloader. What I'm going to do is come across here and just hit the keyboard shortcut and actually download some of these videos. So let's find a video we want. Here's one for a scarecrow. What I'm going to do is just press X on the keyboard, and what you'll see here, it says TSP YT-dlp finished. Now if I come across to the terminal and run TSP, which is the task-spooler command, is that TSP-C. Okay, that may already be done. Okay, scarecrow. So you can see there it's a really small video, and that's why it downloaded so quickly. So what actually happened there? So what I did was just come across here, and let's do it again and see if we can find one with a longer clip. Where's Jack and the free bears? Okay, X on the keyboard, TSP, and you can see here running. So if I run TSP-C, what this does is actually brings up the command that is currently running. So what task-spooler can do is let you go through and add a video to be downloaded, and then carry on adding more videos to be downloaded. And when the first one is finished downloading, it'll kick in and download the second one, and so on. Yeah, I'll just kill this. You can see this is taking a while to come down. TSP-C. It's not actually giving me the output progress because I'm using aria2c as the downloader. What I'm going to do is actually come across and show you a bit of code for this. So this is the function that I've knocked up that is modified from previous commands that I was using. So what we have here is defining the function. We're going to just call it EWW-yt-dlp. The description is send the URL under the point to task-spooler and yt-dlp. It's interactive so that you can run it with meta-x. So you can run meta-x, EWW, yt-dlp. Then the next line, what we've got down here is let URL. So we're basically saying URL is going to be equal to shr URL at point current prefix arg. And what that is that's the position of your cursor, basically, in EWW. So the variable URL is going to be set to whatever the link is under your cursor. We then run async shell command, so that the command is executed in the background. And we use concat, and then we have this bit of code down here. So there's a couple of sections here I want to explain. The first is TSP. What's that? That is task-spooler. Now, on some distributions, the task spooler command is called TSP. On others, it's actually called TS. And the actual name of the command, the package, on some distributions, I believe it's called task-spooler, and on others, it's just called task spooler. So that's just a couple of differences depending on what distribution you're on. So check the name of the command is actually TSP on your distro, otherwise it's going to be TS. Then what we have is yt-dlp. Then what we have is this option here, -P home downloads. And what this is this is the path where we want the downloads to be saved to. By default, yt-dlp will save any file that you download in the current working directory. And the issue with this is with Emacs is you know, if you just open up Emacs, what will happen by default it will save all the videos to your home directory. So you just get a load of videos coming to your home directory. There's an option that you can set in your yt-dlp config where you specify an output template, and you can specify a default location where everything is saved. But typically I don't like to do that. I don't want everything saved in the same place. I might want stuff saved in a particular folder or not. So what this -P option does is actually lets you specify the directory that the files will be saved to, and I'm not sure if you can use it in combination with the output template or not. I think you may be able to, so you'll have to double check that. But this -P option we're using with home here, so this is going to be your home, and then downloads, and you need this little space afterwards because we're then going to put the URL in. So what this is doing is it's, oh God's sake, hang on, get back there. Okay, so what this is basically doing is it's running task spooler. So first of all, we run the asynchronous shell command, and that's so that Emacs doesn't hang. It then hands it off to task spooler, and it basically has a queue. Task spooler has a queue, so it adds this video to the queue and specifies that it should be saved into the downloads directory. And then what we have here is shell quote argument URL, and this URL is this URL variable up here, which is equal to the URL under your cursor, basically. So that's what that block of code does. And then what we have here is evil collection define key normal EWW mode map X comma EWW yt-dlp. So what this does is when you're using evil mode and you're in EWW, is going to add the X key to trigger this function, basically, so that you can just come through and just press X. And what that will do is that will queue up the video to be downloaded with task spooler, yt-dlp, and aria2. So if I come across here, this should have finished downloading. Yeah, we can see there the 3 bears. And let me just have a look at the file size. Okay, so that was 113 meg, so that's why that one was taking a bit longer, whereas the one that was 3.7 meg happened pretty much instantly. So you can see the videos are being saved into the correct directory that we specified, and of course you can specify another directory if you want. So that's how that works. So let me just come across to my yt-dlp config. So what I have here is just a couple of things. --downloader aria2c downloader args, and this is the arguments for the aria2c external downloader. And what this does is it opens up 3 connections to download the file, so it should actually download it a lot quicker than just using a single connection. And then what I do is for dash and m3u8 files, I specify the native downloader. You can use aria2c as the downloader for dash and m3u8 files, but the problem is dash and m3u8 files work with segmented video chunks. So you have a m3u8 file that then sort of like, you know, in the old days it like linked to you know, TS files, loads of little chunks of video. And the problem is if you use aria2c, what it's going to do is it's going to download all the chunks, and it will basically, you'll end up with a directory of hundreds of little chunks of video before it actually rejoins them all. So that's why I don't use aria2c as the downloader for dash and m3u8 files, and then restrict file names, and then merge output format, and then config aria2c. So this is my config for aria2c, which can also download torrents. So this is the sort of main torrents section here, I think. See all this BT stuff. So those are the options that you can set in aria2c. Have a look at the documentation. You can see here stuff like max concurrent download 10. Most of these are actually applying to BitTorrent, but there's some here you can see like continue. So that's if you could control C a download, it will resume. That's what we're using as the external downloaders, yt-dlp and aria2. So now basically we've got the ability in EWW to either play the video with MPV, play the audio with MPD, or actually download the file with yt-dlp and aria2, and actually create a queue of videos to be downloaded one after another. So I can just come here and let's pick ones that aren't actually massive. So you just go through and find some that are actually small videos. There's one Hercules, so I can just press X. There's one that's a Minotaur, do that. And you see if I come across here, TSP, capital C clears the queue, TSP. Oh, don't want to do that. Hang on. Maybe I didn't want to do that. Let me do that again. Hang on. My bad. This should be queuing it up. TSP. Yeah, you can see running. If I run TSP-C, you can see here. If you don't use aria2c as the external downloader for yt-dlp, you will actually get the progress. Okay, so now you can see that it's now spat out some progress there at the end, but while it's actually downloading, you don't see anything with aria2c. Unlike with yt-dlp, you'll actually see the progress. So here we've got Hercules downloaded. Did we go for Humpty Dumpty? That's 60 meg. Let me just see if there's some smaller ones. There's a 3 point. That's an MP4. An OG. Okay. And what you'll notice is, as I was clicking the links, you'll notice that the URLs have got backslashes in them that are escaped. So hang on, let me just see if I can find another short video. Okay. I'll just download this 38 one. And if you keep an eye on the mini buffer down here, what you'll see is in the URL before the you'll see http colon, and then you normally have // what you'll see is a slash before it, like this here. Okay, and that's because it's escaping it's quoting the URLs, it's sort of escaping them. That's what this shell quote argument does. Rather than putting single quotes around the URL, which I couldn't figure out, we're using this instead. And so if I switch across to task-spooler, what you'll see here is running, finished, finished, finished. Okay, and you'll see Hercules, Scarecrow, the Three Bears. This other one I downloaded, the OGV, and this other one, Once Upon a Time, public domain cartoon, is still downloading. So that's how we can download stuff using Emacs EWW. And as I said, the reason why I'm doing it this way using task-spooler is that allows us to queue up videos. If we were just using, wouldn't be a good idea to just call yt-dlp each time. yt-dlp does have a -a option, which you can use as a text file containing a list of files to be downloaded, much like wget has a similar option with, is it -c or something, or -i, I think. Yes, wget -i, a text file with URLs in it. yt-dlp's got the same thing, but we're not actually creating a physical text file, as it were, with a list of URLs. We're going through and just sending these across to task-spooler. And again, the good thing about this is it's executed asynchronously in Emacs, so it's not locking up. And we've got a queue of stuff. And what we can also do is we can manipulate the queue. We can actually choose to remove particular files from the download queue using task-spooler. So if you come across man task, maybe man TSP, yeah, TS task-spooler, simple Unix batch system. So these are the options for this, and GotBlue, who does great videos on YouTube that I'm sure you've seen, has done several videos on this. And what you can also do is you can actually create separate queues. You can actually, by default, you have one single queue of commands that are executed one after another, but you can actually create separate queues as well. So these are some of the task-spooler options that you can go through. So like -C clears the results of the finished jobs from the queue. -K will kill it. -L will list the jobs to be run, finished, or running. You can also actually get the ID of a particular job and cancel it, or remove a particular slot from the queue. So you can say, oh, I don't want to download those videos, and I'll just, so what you can do is remove them from the actual queue of commands to be executed, basically. So have a look through this. I did a couple of videos on task-spooler, but if you come across to YouTube and have a search for task-spooler, it should get some up from GotBlue. Here we go, 10 years ago. He's been doing this for a while. You can see here, he's got an actual playlist. I come across, check out his playlist here. Yeah, I think it's just these two. The other ones aren't related, so he's got 2 videos on task-spooler, I think. And that's a video I did a couple of years ago. Yeah, ignore this guy, Roll van der Part. I think DistroTube did a video on him. Basically, he spams loads of, creates these short videos from Stack Overflow questions, and just basically spams YouTube with them. It's only got 8 views. So if you see any of those videos, just ignore them. So that's how we can download videos the same way we would in a regular browser, but using a couple of extra tools. So you'd click in a normal browser, you just click here, and the download. Because the issue with EWW and trying to download video files is what will happen is if you click like if you try and open a file like an MP4 or something, sometimes it can actually open in Emacs as a bunch of gibberish, is actually open the file, not as a video, but kind of like text, as it were. And there is a way to set up EWW to handle particular MIME types in a particular way. So, if it finds a video or an audio MIME type, what it will do is it will use Linux's MIME type app list. You've got, forget where it is in your .config. Let me have a look. .config, is it MIME list .app? So typically what you have is a MIME list MIME apps.list file that sets a particular MIME type to be opened with a particular application. So you can see here, video MP4 should be opened with the mpv.desktop desktop entry file. You get, I'll show you. You don't know what I'm on about. Got local share applications mpv. So you have desktop files that show up in your application launcher. mpv, you can see there. So that's how those files show up in your application launcher. What the MIME apps list does is says basically open MP4s with MPV. So even if you set Emacs EWW to basically use MIME apps to handle the file, it won't open it and download it. It would actually open it with MPV. Yeah, so the problem is you can't set you don't want to set all your video MP4 files to be downloaded with yt-dlp. If you're clicking on a MP4 in your file manager, you want it opened with a particular application. So we can't use that method to actually trigger a download of a video file in EWW, as far as I can see. So that's why we come up with this little bit of code that basically does the job, so that we can just come across and press X on any of these video files and it will download them. What you could also do is modify this to download other types of files. So let me just get some tea. See, we've got GIFs here, so let's see if it will actually download the GIF. I don't know if what with yt-dlp is just basically handing off the file to aria2. So let's see if it's actually downloaded the GIF. Probably not, because yt-dlp doesn't handle GIFs. Finished. Yeah, so you can see that didn't work for the GIF. So if we wanted to do a similar thing but for regular files, so let's do this now. Let's knock up something that will allow us to download files with aria2c. So what we'll do is just duplicate this, create a new keyboard shortcut, and instead of calling yt-dlp, we'll call aria2 and see how that works out. Okay. Little thing, but I always, whenever I'm doing my config, I quite like to have it set up like this, with one space here and then 2 spaces for the next thing. It just makes it easier. Okay, so we'll just call this EWW task-spooler aria2c, and we'll just call this aria2. I mean, you could do something like my EWW, I may do that later, but I would just call this aria2c and see if we can knock something up. And we need to remove this block of code, a little bit here, and call aria2. Yeah, that's another weird package, aria2c. Sometimes it's called aria2, sometimes it's called aria2c. Okay, it's aria2c. Okay, let's call this, what should we give that? Z? Yeah, why not Z? I think that's bound to anything. I may change that later, depending on how I feel. And we'll just call that aria2, aria2c. Okay, so let's just have a quick shifty at any of the options, man. aria2c, if there's a... okay, what we probably want is the this option, the first one that sticks out, the directory to store the downloaded file. And that, again, that's because I believe there's an option in aria2c where you can specify, you know, always download to this download directory or whatever. But what we want to do is set this to download to the downloads directory. So what I'm going to do is just double check the sort of syntax before I stick it in to my config. Just close some of these windows. So what we want to do is specify downloading something to copy that link, aria2c -d. Let me just double check. So we should just be able to do something like home downloads and maybe double quotes, something like that. And you can use tilde as a specifier for the home, but it's better to use the actual home variable in scripts and stuff. And we should I always put variables in double quotes like this, because that then allows you to specify something after it. So if you just did, let me show you what I mean. If you just do like home like that, if you then do downloads, it's going to interpret it as one whole variable. So that's why you want to do home downloads, and in single quotes, let's give it that URL and see if this works. Okay, there you can see the output path. Okay, and there we go, we've got that there. So we know that's the correct syntax to use. So what we want to do is actually copy this bit of code. So this is why I use tmux for copy mode. So I rebind the tmux key to A, so I can press Control A and then shift left bracket. That is it. Yep, not shift, just left bracket. And you can then come up here and copy this across. V and then Y, and switch across here. Stick this in. Okay, we don't want the double quotes there because it's already in double quotes. And we want one space. Okay, so we've got a new function set up here. I just finished the tee off. So what we need to do is actually evaluate this code so that it's available to use in the WW. So we just stick the cursor at the end here, Control XE, do the same thing down here, Control XE. That's now bound. So let me just come across to the downloads directory and just clear all these videos up. So DDDDD XY. Okay, that's all cleared up. So now we want to download this headless horseman GIF. So I'm just going to press Z. Okay, so maybe I need to rebind that key. I think Z is actually bound to image zoom. I think that's what it is. So let's try something else. Which key to choose? I suppose A for aria. See if that works. could go through and check which keys are available. Okay, A, no, you bugger. Okay, so this is, you know, go through and pick a key that's already in use. A, let's do something that's kind of easy for our fingers to reach. So I'll you work. Well, I'm just going to call this interactively, just to demo it actually working. Was it you? Okay, no, that's copied the. Oh, for God's sake! Let me just do this interactively. EWW aria2c DSP finished. Put that. What's there? And it didn't work. So why didn't that work? Okay. That should have worked. God's law. Let's try. Am I missing anything? aria2c. Let's try another key. I'll find one eventually. Let's try B. Okay. Home. Okay. Is it not doing what I wanted it to? Oh, there we go. Now it's worked. The Headless Horseman. Okay. So let's go through and try it on a few. There's Tom Thumb. So I'll just do U. Was it, what did I set it to? B. Yeah. B. So this will allow us to download non-video files, basically. So instead of, we've got two keyboard shortcuts, and maybe rejig them to make them easier. One to download a video or audio file with yt-dlp, and then another one just to use aria2. So let's come across and find some more GIFs. B. So I can just take, if I've got my fingers on H, J, K, and L, I can just move my index finger down to B. So that's not too stressful. Okay. TSP. Finished. Let me just check it's actually working. Here's another one. Well, they all got the same name. Let's just download a XML file. If that thing works. So why are some of these not working? Finished. Ah, you bugger, come on. Just checking it downloads desktop or the home directory. Yeah, so it should be working. Let's go back up and try a couple more. One thing that may be an issue is sometimes archive.org is really slow. It may be an issue with that. Let me see if I can find something else. Or a small ISO file or something like that. What's something like FreeBSD mini stick or something? FreeBSD. I'm sure it's got like really small, like it was like a net install or something. Thought there was. Okay, yeah. Yeah, the mem stick, mini mem stick. Try this. So let me just bring this page up in EWW. and paste in that URL with Control and Control Y. Okay, and let's try this one. See if this works. I'm just going to press, was it B? ESP. Okay, running. Okay. Okay, there you go. You can see that's now downloading. That does work. Just me faffing about trying to find a keyboard shortcut that wasn't actually in use. But that's what happens when you do stuff on the fly. So again, if I run tsp-c, what you'll see here is this is what is being output by aria2. It's not actually showing the progress. I'm not sure. It's just one little annoying thing with it. And there may be some configuration tweak to actually get it to show up in aria2c, showing the download progress. I can Control C this here. It's not going to kill the actual process, the thing being downloaded. That's just kind of like catting the output of the process, show that it's actually working. So you can see here, 110 of 91. So this is really useful because maybe situations where you actually want to download a particular file type and have it automatically saved to a particular directory, because as I said, most of these tools will save the file being downloaded to the current directory, which by default with Emacs will probably be your home directory. So that would just lit us loads of stuff up. So that's why we kind of want a way to actually specify a download directory. So is there anything else we could try? What about images? So let me come across and let's open Chronicle Live. And there we go. There's Lewis Hall on new signing. So let's I don't know if I can open this page. Can I open this page in EWW? Let me just try that. I want to see if I can use it to download an image as well. Okay. Should render the image. Okay. Yeah, you can see it's not, the image is kind of being, it's showing the outline. See if I can if that will download that. Okay, you can see the FreeBSD doodads downloaded. Let's have a look in here. Okay, that's actually downloaded the page. Let's see if there's another sort of site I could go to with images. But it should work on sort of other stuff. But I was just wanting to try a few different things. But downloading a an XZ file is a good test. So I'll just leave that there. You can sort of experiment a bit more. But you can see here, Headless Horseman, Tom Thumb. So we can sort of delete those. Let's delete that as well. XY. So let me just quit this there. So we've got two functions now. We got knocked up. We've got EWW task-spooler yt-dlp. Basically, as I showed you, that will allow you to press a keyboard shortcut that you can define or use command interactively with header-x. And it's going to grab the URL under the cursor and then send it to task-spooler, which will add it to the queue. So what will happen is basically if you the first time you use it, it's going to start downloading. The next time you run the command, it will add it to the task-spooler queue, and that video will be downloaded after the first one has finished. So it's a really nice feature that allows you just to come through and go bang, bang, bang with a keyboard shortcut, set up a load of files to be downloaded one after another. And with the -p option here, we can specify the download location. So it's not leaving our home directory with a shitload of files. And again, we shell quote the URL, and that's why when you execute the command and you look in the mini buffer, you could see that a lot of the slashes were escaped with a sort of, forward slash, or forward slash, backslash, so that's why the URLs look funny. If there's a way to just put it in single quotes, I'd love to know. But that was the only sort of command I could come up with that. So that's the task-spooler yt-dlp aria2c command. And then after we create the function there, we did evil collection define key normal. So that's when we're in normal mode, because obviously we don't want to be in insert mode. That wouldn't make sense. And we're saying EWW mode map X for downloading the video with the EWW yt-dlp function there. And then what we've got here is the EWW task-spooler aria2c command. Exactly the same deal here, except we're using aria2c with the -d option, home, downloads, and eventually binding it to B. So, you can use whatever keyboard shortcuts you want. I'll just put another little space there. So what I'll do is I'll push this code up to GitHub. But what you'll need to do is actually install task-spooler. So if I do DNF search task-spooler, okay, so you can see there task-spooler. Yeah, so you can see it there. Let me just have a check for the Arch wiki, what it's called. Yeah, you can see here it's called task-spooler on Arch, Ubuntu. I think it may be. Let me just check what the binary is there. Does it actually mention? Because as I said, on some distros the command is TSP, on others it's just TS. So make sure to actually check the name of the command. Okay, yeah. So TS, yeah, that's what I was saying. Ubuntu man pages, TS task-spooler. So on Ubuntu and probably in all Debian distributions, the command, the package is still called task-spooler, but the command is called TS, not TSP. Oh, maybe it is TSP. Okay. But I know there is some distribution, I forget what it was. Maybe it was on it might have been on FreeBSD. But I have run into situations where the package is named either task-spooler or task-spooler one thing, and the command is either called TS or TSP. So that's just something to be aware of. So yeah, that's it. We got a nice little download set up so that we can use EWW to either download supported stuff from yt-dlp, so that would be your video files, your audio files. But for other files, we can use aria2c. And again, yt-dlp is using aria2c as the external downloader, but in this case, what we're doing is we're specifically using aria2c as the downloader. You could use wget or whatever you want. But aria2c is a really good downloader because, as I said, it will open up multiple connections to download the file faster. And this could be handy for large files like ISOs, that sort of thing. And the other thing is we've handed all this off outside of Emacs. So because it's using task-spooler for the queue, for everything to be queued up, we quit Emacs, or Emacs doesn't crash, very rarely, unless you open a large file like a massive video file or something, and it just hangs. The queue will be separate from Emacs, so it's not going to get corrupted or anything. So have a look at task-spooler, and all the options. So do you want me to just come across task-spooler, TS, there's the man pages. Okay, is this the page? Yeah, this may be the task-spooler command GitHub page, I believe. Yeah, so these are the features: queue up, execute jobs, control number of jobs, view your jobs in the terminal, and yeah, this will work on basically everything. It'll work on, I think it works on Mac as well. Let me just check. Let's just check homebrew. Usual way you install stuff. Homebrew formulas. Yep. So if you're on the Mac, you can do a brew install task-spooler to install task-spooler and get the same functionality. If you're on Windows and you're using, you might have to do it all in WSL if you're on Windows. There isn't a task-spooler equivalent on Windows. So you'd have to sort of install task-spooler in WSL and something like that. But it's available on the Mac. So have a look through that, and I'll push this code up. So have a little play around with it. But it's just something that's been missing for me from using EWW, and I had a similar sort of setup with W3M where I'd run an FZF menu that would allow me to run task-spooler or yt-dlp, and I wanted to sort of replicate the same thing with EWW, so I can just hit a keyboard shortcut and queue up a file to be downloaded with either yt-dlp or aria2c directly. So that's all for now. I'll stick links to all this under the video, and hope that makes using EWW for browsing and downloading stuff a bit more bearable.